this weekend I did the Run Alton Towers event. It was 2 days, so the first day was the 5k and the 10k, the second day was the half marathon. I did the half marathon event. From what I can understand, the half marathon was 2 laps of the 10k route, but I think somebody might need to check that. I'm not 100% sure, but from what I can kind of gather it was. So to start off with then, pre-race information, that was really spot on. Got loads of information ahead of the race. You know, we knew the start times, we knew the baggage drops, we knew all the kind of stuff that you'd want to know about the event. Really great, good communications. On the day of the race, we went into the race village, which was in Alton Towers itself. I was a little bit disappointed by the race village. There wasn't really very much going off, and the only real reason I kind of knew what I was doing was I just followed all the other runners. So there was no real signage to tell you, you know, where you were going or what you were doing or anything, which is a little bit disappointing, but, you know, I guess at the end of the day, follow everybody else, all worked out. So the route itself, it was a 2-lap course. It started just outside the towers itself, so if you've been to Alton Towers, if you know where the Hex ride is, it's there. That's kind of where the start was. We had staggered starts depending upon the start time, so I was kind of towards the end of the pack. I went for the sub 2:10. Prior to this race, my PB was 2:04, and that was before I broke my leg. And since breaking my leg, my PB's been around the 2:15 mark. So I've done a couple of 2:15s and 2:20s, so it's been fluctuating around there really. So I thought if I set off around the 2:10, that should give me a good indication. Try and push it a little bit, but not too much. I hadn't put any expectations on myself at this race. A couple of months ago I thought I might like to target a sub 2, but really I didn't want to put that pressure on myself. It's my last race of the season and just wanted to go out and enjoy myself. So that's all I went with. No other real race plan except for to go out and just give it my best really and have some fun while I was doing it. So the race started outside of the towers. It then went up past the towers, down towards where 13 and Rita is, and sort of followed the route round and back through the tower itself before looping down the hill towards the Oblivion, Smiler and Enterprise ride, which is a bit of a nasty hill. If you know Alton Towers well, you'll know that that's quite a nasty descent. And then it had a sharp turn round to come back up again, so all the way back up the hill, through past the conference centre, past the pinball wizard and in and round CBeebies land, round in front of the main entrance, through to Mutiny Bay and up all the way past towards the River Rapids, the Runaway Mine Train, all the way up that hill up there, which is very windy, lots of twists and turns, sharp turns over bridges, and then back down through the woods, past the Haunted House Mansion and up towards the Nemesis. At the Nemesis then, you had a very, very nasty sharp left turn which went straight uphill, and then into the car parks, and then it kind of did a lot of twisty turny routes in and around all the car park. I don't think I actually appreciated how vast the car parks are at Alton Towers. They're just huge, and so many of them, so lots of different loopings round, really nasty hairpin bends. Yeah, the car park seemed to be on some kind of weird angle because no matter which way you went, you seemed to be going uphill. And once you finished doing all that, you kind of went back down to the outer perimeter of Alton Towers to run through where all the stargazing pods are, in front of all the hotels, loop back in to where the Galactica ride is, which was used to be known as Air, and run all the way back through the woods, turn left to come back in front of the lakes, to come back into the house, and then do it all again. So the route, yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have run around the park more rather than the car parks. I would have said about 70% of it was car park, but it was nice to see the variation through the park as well and run around all the different rides. It could have been made a little bit more interesting in the car parks. There were some of the entertainment out, some dancing and things happening off, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about that because it is quite boring running through a car park, if I'm totally honest with you. And it is quite a technical course, if I'm honest. There's lots of uphill, but short, sharp uphills. There's lots of bends, lots of twists, lots of hairpin bends, lots of U-turn points, and they're very, very slippy as well. I think because of the time of year, with it being November, there was lots of wet leaves around, lots of moss, water on course, and there's some points where it was really, really slippy slidey. At one point on the very steep uphill past Nemesis, I thought I was going to fall over. It was really, really bad. So yes, that made it quite difficult, especially in, like I say, in those places that you were going uphill. It was a nice route though. In some ways, it's because of the variation in profile, it made it much more interesting than if it had just been flat. But yeah, I think perhaps running it in the summer would have been better because it would have been less slippy. But then again, you can't close the whole theme park down, can you, for that race to take place? So I guess, yeah, overall I just went out and I enjoyed myself. I just had a bit of fun with it. I didn't put any pressure on myself, and I just tried to keep consistent with my pacing throughout as well, which is quite difficult when there's so many twists and turns involved. I am pleased with how the race went. I don't think I could have done anything any different really looking back on it. I did come away with a PB, so I came away with a time of 2 hours and 2 minutes, which is a 2-minute PB before I injured myself, and like a 15-minute PB after injuring myself, which is pretty good going really. Would I do it again next year? I possibly wouldn't do the half again. I might do the 10k or the 5k. It's really good if you've got children like mine that love rides, or if you love rides, because afterwards you do get to spend the day in the theme park enjoying all the rides, and there were virtually no queues, so we did get to do all of the rides in Alton Towers, and the kids had a great day as well, so it's good for things like that. But in terms of the route, I don't know. I've done it, I've ticked it off the list. I would probably only do it again simply to get in to play on all the rides. I wouldn't do it if it was just a race on its own, if I'm totally honest.